some people did a session live, so we put it on our YouTube channel. So it's going to be recorded for our YouTube channel. So we'll get started. I'm just going to do the land acknowledgement. So Pembina Active Living 55 Plus operates on the original lands of Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and on the homeland of the Métis Nation. We respect the treaties that were made on these territories. We acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and we dedicate ourselves to move forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. So again, welcome everyone. I'm just going to go through a few just housekeeping things. So my name is Sandra. I think I know everyone except perhaps Janice. Sandra Sukan, and I'm on the board of Powell. And the Making Connections project is Bill, who's on the camera as well, and I are co-chairing a Making Connections committee. So we're making connections with cultural diversity and inclusiveness, and this was an opportunity we had to talk about, to have these two presenters talking about mother language. So as I mentioned, the session is going to be recorded. So while the presenters are talking, I'm just going to ask you to mute your microphones. I think everyone's already done that anyway, just so that we don't get any the presenters don't get any background noise as they're doing their presentations. And then I will, if you have any questions as we're going through, if you can just put them in the chat, that would be great. If it's something that's really burning and you want to ask, you can turn on your microphone and ask the question. So what I'm going to do is try to moderate the chat so that the presenters don't get interrupted as they're going through. So the presentation will probably be about 45 to 50 minutes, and then you'll have 10 minutes at the end to answer any questions. But if there's something that comes up at the moment of the presentation and you want to ask about that, please feel free to do that. We're not so formal that we can't stop. So the International Mother Language Plaza is basically a project. It's really a project under construction with donations from various communities, PAL being one of the supporters of this project. So PAL has offered its support by through its nonprofit status, applying for grants and things like that. So the two presenters tonight are Khadija Latif, who is the president of Manitoba Bangladesh Baban Corporation, which is a registered corporation and sponsor of the International Mother Language Plaza. Khadija is a professional engineer with a city planning degree and work experience in Manitoba, and is a 20-year resident of Winnipeg. And then we have Abdullah Kafi, is the executive director of the Manitoba Bangladesh Baban Corporation. He's a working professional with a master's degree in management and has been volunteering to promote diversity and multiculturalism in the community over the last few years. And yesterday he celebrated his son's birthday, just him and his wife, and his little son, I'm assuming he's little, so very small, happy birthday to your son. So what I'm going to do now is just turn over the presentation. I don't know who's going first. Whoever is going, let me know who's going first, and I can turn over the presentation.
It's going to be me. I'm going to be the first, and in the meantime, when I go forward, Abdullah might step in whenever we need to.
Okay, so I'm turning over the making you the presenter, so go right ahead.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. My name is Khadija Latif, and I'm president of Manitoba Bangladesh Baban Corporation. And tonight, I'm with my executive director, Abdullah Kafi. It's a huge opportunity for us, and we thank you all for inviting us to share our experience, and we thank you all for the support you are providing to us. Before I go further, I need to tell you something. English is my third language, and I speak a little faster. Sometimes you feel like you're not following me or maybe not understanding. Just ask me, I will try to repeat it. And the presentation I'm going to give you is not very long. It's only 10 or 12 slides, and it must not take more than 20 or 25 minutes. but we can continue discussion on it. With that, I would like to share the screen and start talking. Thank you. International Mother Language Plaza. It's basically dedicated to mother languages of the world. It's about word we have lost, culture we have forgotten, stories that are not told anymore, dance moves not celebrated anymore, and a place to contemplate and celebrate linguistic diversity. Before we go further, I'd like to tell you about who we are. Manitoba Bangladesh Bhavan Corporation is a registered corporation, and it's with the following objectives: like we provide support for the preservation of all mother languages, maintain and develop effective partnership with other ethnocultural groups in Manitoba, giving support to learn Bangla and other mother languages, enable practice cultural activities, dance and music based in on Bangladeshi culture, provide individual person-centered support for Bangladeshi-speaking immigrants, clean, safe drop-off center for kids with learning opportunities, giving Bangladeshi new immigrant and students with awareness, advice, and accommodation they need to settle in and integrate in Canada. With all this is started, say, the way, if I go back a little bit, like pretext of this mother language thing, so we learn our language from our mothers and from our families. When many years ago, maybe centuries ago, it was a small group of people who are learning language from their mothers. And language origins from the environment. When mothers try to explain something or communicate with their sons and daughters, they pick up sounds from the nature, from the environment. That's how one group in one area, another group in another area ultimately develop two different languages, different ethnicities, different culture, different community, and a broader aspect ultimately become nation. And we become nation, we try to make ourselves better than others, maybe think other better than others, or some group became dominant, some group minority, some group became majority. And with the advance of warfare, with colonialism, many of we have lost our roots. When we lost this root, basically we lost our connection with the environment, connection with the knowledge and all this tradition we had, and also we can lose connection to communities. We try to learn from other places, but we forget our original root. If I come to this place like Bangladesh, we are from, and where this international mother language got prominence from, it has a very rich culture of thousands of years. And it's one of the largest spoken languages, 8th largest and 7th most spoken language in the world. Bangla New Year started over 400 or 500 years, history of colorful observance, expensive carnivals, harmony and unity between diverse cultures and languages, and one of the universal human rights preservation of mother language and culture and heritage. The world communities remember with utmost veneration the martyrs of Bangladesh language of 1952. The United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization declared the incidents in mother language day in recognition of language movement martyrs of Bangladesh people. UNESCO declaration inspired global citizens to uphold the spirit of its respective mother languages and heritage. International Mother Language Day is observed in 21st of February. And 2020 theme is Languages Without Borders. Why 21st February? We'll go back there sometime. I will explain how it's happened. And it is a worldwide annual observation held on 21st of February. It's about awareness of linguistic and cultural diversity and to promote multilingualism. The main purpose of this day is to promote the awareness of language and cultural diversity all across the world. The 2020 theme is Languages Without Borders. Respect for linguistic and cultural diversity, contribute and strengthen the unity and cohesion of the society. Oh, sorry. What was it? Okay. Oh, did you lose my slide? No? Okay. So UNESCO declared 21st February as International Mother Language Day in 1992 through a declaration, and United Nations General Assembly proclaimed the day in resolution in 2002. Why in Bangladesh? This is all started in Bangladesh, but it could have started anywhere in the world. Why it is in Bangladesh? Bangladesh is the kind of place where basically, for its natural calamities. A few years ago, still it's today, natural calamities of cyclone, flood, famine. These are the basically nature of Bangladesh. It is a riverine country. Communication is not so good. It was not so good. It's improving. And it was 600-700 years ago, it was a place where land, still it is very productive land, and people used to go there for a peaceful life, for better cultivation, better farming, and better revenue from their investments. Over the time, around 1200, so land was started to be colonized by different people. In 1600, 1500, it's become Mughal. 1700, it became British. And in 1947, when British quit India, then India was divided into two different countries on the basis of religion. And this is Pakistan and India. When Bangladesh was, at that time, Bangladesh was part of Pakistan. We used to call it East Pakistan and West Pakistan. Bangladeshi people are majority Muslim, so they went to Pakistan. And within a year, there are some problems because they have another identity. They are Bengali. They speak Bangla, and they have very good connection in their language, their literature, and it has another serious feeling for their or connection to their culture and to their language. That was living inside and ultimately growing stronger and stronger. When Pakistan was trying to establish its national language, they are trying to establish Urdu as their only state language of Pakistan. That was creating tension. Because in India, most Muslims speak, or home language is, family language is Urdu. In Bangladesh, little different. Only a few aristocrat or rich Muslims used to speak Urdu. Middle class and low income people all speak Bangla. And there are some even difference in their cultures. So when it came to the language, when they are trying to impose one language above other, most of the people were not so happy with. But there was a problem. Problem was, at that time, total literacy of the country was even around 20% or even less than 20%. So when it's coming to the language, it is not touching to the poor people or not touching to the farming communities, not touching to the rural areas. It was only students, teachers, or urban living people. But that people, when they started brewing this revolt or kind of rallies against government, it came to a breaking point in 1952. It was getting stronger and stronger. And at one point in February 21st, there was, government was heavy-handed and some people died. 4 or 5 of them were shot. Then whole country joined, and ultimately government declared Bangla as the second language of Pakistan. But that didn't stop there. There's suspicion, there's unhappiness, and feeling of subjugation, a feeling of dominant or maybe ruled by other nation was so prominent. And by 1971, whole country was trying to be separate from Pakistan. And then it grew to a new nation. We call it Bangladesh. And I am talking this thing because feelings of language, feelings of culture, when it is not dominant, it looks like very few or maybe not so strong. But if it gets context, it can be stronger. If it is get nourished by its writers, by its singers, by its dancers, it gets stronger and stronger and create a huge nationality or huge national movement. That's what had happened in Bangladesh. That's the reason it is Bangladesh, the first time in maybe the whole world in many hundred years, the language movement created a new country. And nowadays, even today or every day, hundreds of languages, every year, hundreds of languages are lost. Many of the cultures are just forgotten. Many of the languages, their letters are just forgotten. Many of the dance moves are just gone. Many of the connections to the environment are simply lost. And that's the reason Bangladeshi people have a special feelings for their language, because they stood up on their language, on their culture, on their heritage, and ultimately got a new nation to call themselves Bangladeshi, or a new country called Bangladesh. International Mother Language Plaza, we are trying to create it. We already have started building here. This is one of the pictures in Bangladesh, how it is celebrated there. 21st February in Bangladesh is a kind of national celebration, starting from the capital to the tiny rural village anywhere in the country. And it's a national holiday. It's celebrated in so many different ways. That the day they will come out in different colors with their rallies, and they will come to this kind of structures. They call it Shahid Minar, though it's basically language martyrs monument. And if you look at the symbol in the middle, it represents mother, and on the both sides, two structures represent their sons and daughters. And I already told you, this is the reason when a mom is standing with her kids, basically protecting them, teaching them, and bringing into culture and language and their connection to the nature and connection to the culture. That's what it represents. But it's the day when Bangladesh will also celebrate, also do so many different kinds of cultural observations. Like there will be book fairs, there will be cultural functions, there will be different kinds of memorandum. And this is the day when most of the publishers will release their new books. And that book festival lasts for a month. So this is one of those pictures I'm just showing you. This is another one. It's maybe the same one with a different context, with just hundreds of different organizations show up and show their respect to their martyrs, and hundreds of different groups will come out with their with rallies, is talking about their love for the country, love for the martyrs, and the love for the language. This is what we are trying to do here in Manitoba, in our country's part. This is the original rendering of this structure. It's almost same thing, but in a smaller size. The middle one is only 15 feet high, sides one is 9, and next one is 7 or 8 feet, with a red circle. One thing is missing in the back. There is a red another circle showing setting sun in the background, and this red circle is basically a reflection of the sun. And we are not calling it mother language cenotaph or something. We are calling it International Mother Language Plaza. We have a reason for that. That red one is now replaced with medicine wheel, and we are trying to connect with all other ethnic groups in our community. So part of it is already built, and we are just waiting for the white structures that's supposed to sit on it. And that project will cost around $155,000. And that's how we already connected to you. In fact, it's a great pleasure. The guys have supported us. We have applied for the fund. We are also trying to get funding from other places. We have received fund from my community. We have got $23,000. We've got $40,000 from the province. We have, I think, $60,000 so far. So $60,000 from city. We are still raising funds. We need another $30,000 or around $35,000. And some of these features have been changed over time. So when it came to city's requirement, some of this greenery has been changed. Some of this, so this is not exact what it is, but exact one is a little different than this one. But this was the basic one that we started with. Construction has started in September of this year, and this is basic on the ground is already completed, almost completed, I would say. And this is today's, I think it's last week's picture. So main ground plaza is done. So these are the places where you will see these 4 or 5 structures that stand up. And it's on the Cartbridge Park. It's a corner of Beardmore and Mannington. Its address is 60 Mannington Street, or road, I guess. That's all my presentation was. If you have any questions, we can proceed with that. It was very short, I guess.
No, that's okay. We'll maybe ask Abdullah.
Yeah, I'll ask Abdullah if he can add some of the points.
Yeah, and then we can go ahead and ask some questions. I'm just going to make Abdullah the presenter. Okay, so
that's fine. I'm not going to share anything. I'm okay.
Okay, all right.
Okay, but my first question is, all of you are hearing me okay?
We're hearing you. We just lost your video, but we can hear you.
Let me open it up.
We just saw you when you disappeared.
That's right. I don't want to be disappeared.
Yeah,
I don't want to be disappeared.
Yeah, you're there.
But like, first of all, I would like to say thank you so much, Camden Active Living, for giving us the opportunity to talk. And then again, like, thank you all for coming in, joining in, and listening to us, encourage us, supporting us through our journey. I want to talk, obviously, you hear a lot of information from Khaja's presentation, but I want to talk about 3 things, like what's exactly happened, like why do we think that we need to initiate this project in Winnipeg? What is the reason behind it? And why do we think that this project is important, and how this project can speak for all the Manitobians or all the Canadians? So obviously, when we talk about the linguistic diversity, we talk about the linguistic rights, we talk about the promoting multiculturalism. One of the things I must say that we are, like personally me, I'm privileged to come into this country, live in this country, and celebrate the differences, celebrate the diversity of this wonderful country. This is, I think, amazing opportunity for us from the different cultural groups come together and share our experience and celebrate our differences. So that's kind of where it kind of initiated this project, because when, let's say from me, I originally came from Bangladesh, my son born in Winnipeg, but I'm pretty sure that he might not be speaking my language, but which is okay and which is not okay in other sense, because we want them to learn the legacy or listen to the legacy, or like they know where they came from, originally came from. So that's kind of where it's kind of started, because we want to make sure the legacy is there. We want to make sure the culture, they can keep the culture. They don't have to be necessarily have to be celebrated all the time, but they know where actually that came from. So I think this mother language, the objective of this project kind of resonate. The fact is where we came from and how we are celebrating our cultures and how we are contributing these cultures into these communities and making a bridge, making a connections to each and every immigration, like the multicultural groups. So that's kind of where it kind of started, like all these different multicultural groups or different kind of philosophy can come together and celebrate the differences. Now, the second question obviously comes up, like when we obviously look into the languages. Actually, there is a very interesting data actually that over 60,000 languages, those are kind of endangered. Like over like 43% of the people are speaking those languages. Like the 43% of people in the world only represent those 6,000 languages. But some of the languages, there is not even have enough people to speak. Probably only very few people know about the languages, but not all the people actually represent those languages. So which means, in other sense, those kind of languages, because of those loss of those languages, we're kind of losing the culture of those areas as well. So those kind of make us think that why not we do something that can be symbolized that yes, this is where our mother language came from, or we have a mother language. We don't necessarily speak in that language, but we have a language, or we used to have a language, and that kind of tells us where we came from. That kind of brings us our legacy into our life. So that's kind of I would say high level, like the initiators for us to do. Now the second question will be coming up, obviously, why we're building this plaza, how this plaza would contribute something to our community. So first of all, I say, like, this plaza is not belongs to Bangladesh. This plaza belongs to someone who used to have a mother language or who used to speak a mother language, come into the country and now we're adopting our culture. So this is, I would say, it's kind of outstanding because, like, for me, like, I actually went to England. So I went to England to do my studies, like I went to UK. And I actually did not know that the Welsh people, they have their own language. Though English is their language, but they have their own language. The Scottish people, they have their own language. The Irish people, they have their own language. And it kind of like fascinated me. Well, wow, I knew that they all speak in English, but actually no, they have their own language. When we came to Canada, like me, I came to Canada, it's really honored, like when I see that all these indigenous group, like all this First Nation, they have their own language, and that's an amazing thing. It's like that's kind of keep their cultures alive, that they still, like, they speak in English, but they still have their own language, which kind of resonate like their cultures. They keep their cultures, they're upholding their cultures, and like put it for the next generation. So that's kind of things we want, that when we build this plaza, we want different multicultural groups will be sitting together, will be celebrate their cultures, sharing their cultures, sharing their language, and celebrate the diversity and promote multiculturalism on this wonderful country. So I think it would be one of the, obviously, like the main thing, obviously, this country is promoting diversity and multiculturalism. So that's one of the things. And the third thing is what we have done so far, what we have done and where we want to go. So far, actually, it's a wonderful that we have the opportunity to sit with you, which is wonderful. And so far, actually, we have done quite a lot. So I'll tell you what we did. So one of the fascinating things we did, we actually connect with Beardmore School. So the Beardmore School is it's in the school in under Pembina School Trail School Divisions, and it's also called the UNESCO School. So that means they have lots of immigrant schools, students, and everyone in that school. So we went to that school, and fortunately, we actually had opportunity to speak to the students. And we find out the students, when we talk about mother language, or when we talk about which language you call your mother, right? Like there might be a different language, or there, like I know it's a very universal language. I call my mom mama or mummy, or there might be so many language, but that kind of tells us like where we came from, because we can speak in English, but we still have some word to call my mother. We still have some word to call my father. So that's kind of, we tell them like, that is your mother language. Like that's your mother language. And that's kind of like encourage us actually to talk about this journey, to take this journey to the next level. Then we actually engage with Southeast Collegiate. I'm pretty sure you probably heard about the collegiate, like Southeast Collegiate, like the indigenous on like the onboarding schools. Like it's a very highly tech and highly developed schools for the First Nations. And we went there, we talk about it, and they actually really excited when we heard about all these things like the linguistic diversity and the multiculturalism and all those. And that's kind of really interest us. And not only that, they contribute their expertise into this project. We actually had a medicine wheel in the project. We actually had a medicine wheel. So that's an amazing, and that's how we can probably reconnect with different cultures and make it really a global platform where everyone can think that this is for them. So this is not only belongs to in one country. So I think that's an amazing thing we're trying to do. And other things is like we've been involving different cultural groups, different multicultural like the communities, like let's say Indian, Pakistani, Nepalese, Vietnamese, Filipinos, you name it. We try to connect with them so that they all can be on the board. So when this plaza will be built, we will try to celebrate. We will try to acknowledge all the differences, and we'll try to make ourselves more stronger than ever. And that's, I think that's what we want to do. But again, I think that's pretty much all I have my presentation. I don't want to I don't want to show too many things. I want to see your face, you see my face, but it's wonderful. And thank you so much for taking the time to come in and listen to us. So thank you, and feel free to ask any questions.
Please, anyone, if you have any questions, you can certainly feel free to ask. I'm just going to ask you, like, when was this project initiated for the plaza? Like, how long ago?
Okay, I think first of all, we'd like to tell you something. This Manitoba Bangladesh Bhavan Corporation is not a very, it doesn't have long experience. We have started 2017 as a registered corporation. And in fact, at almost same time, in starting of the plaza, we're talking about building international mother language plaza or markers, language markers monument, something like that in our mind from 2012, 13, something like that. So people who are talking with our politicians, our councillors, it takes some time because we need to build connection. We need to know how it works. It took some time, but it started practically flying in 2017, I guess, when we started talking with Janice. She was presented with this idea. She took it. Then we talked with city planners and park people. Then ultimately it took shape. Then we have to come back to a community because we need to raise funds and people are on board. So he was responsible for my community. So we got it from there. Then city stepped in. Then also we approached province. They stepped in. Then it started flying in from 2019. Practically funding was there in 2019. Then this year we have started construction and we are hoping to be completed before spring.
For those who are here for the presentation, maybe I'll just ask Alana if you can talk about how Powell is supporting this project.
Well, first, before I say anything about that, I want to thank you so much for this. It was really a great presentation, and the enthusiasm for the project and the whole idea of languages and diversity is really infectious and also exciting for me as somebody who loves languages and aspires to learn. I think I have 2 or 3 on my list that I'm kicking away at very, very slowly, but a couple words here and there. Anyways, as far as our involvement with the project, I believe it is that we have shared our charitable number with the project so that they could go ahead and apply for funding from an agency that, as I understand, requires the fundee to be a charitable organization. So that is how we came to be involved through Janice Lukes, as a matter of fact. So yeah, and great to be involved. I'm really looking forward to seeing this, progress and to eventually being there. So thanks again for this presentation. This is great.
And maybe if you could just mention a bit about you mentioned the medicine wheel, and Bill Ghostkeeper, who's on the presentation as well, he's the co-chair of the Making Connections Committee, and Bill is our one of the indigenous people who are trying to advance like indigenous languages and culture within the organization as well. So maybe if you can just speak a little bit about how you are incorporating the medicine project.
Sure. So we actually, me and obviously me and Janice Lukes, like we talked about it, like how we can speak for all the Canadians. So like last year, I think the UNICEF declared mother language, I think last year it was renamed as indigenous language the year, if I'm understanding correctly. Last year, 2019 was the indigenous language year for the international mother language. So then we started thinking about what we can do or how we can incorporate that needs or that things into this project, because obviously this is their nation, like this is their land, and how we can respect their things into incorporating our current project. So we went to the Southeast Collegiate. We spoke to the principals. We spoke to the chief, the band chiefs, and then we decided to come up with this idea to put the medicine wheel. So the pictures he was showing you in front of those big pillars, there was a red on the ground. So that red would be the medicine wheel for the plaza. And obviously what's going to happen is obviously they also actually contribute some of the trees, some of the traditional the indigenous the trees. Those are kind of respecting I think their memories or their cultures, like those kind of representing their cultures. So those kind of trees will be also planted next year on the ground as well. So those are the things that we have talked. Again, I think it's still in the discussions. There are more, I think, there are more things can be involved. And I think that's probably why we are here, for all the connections. Like, we're just building the connections and see how we can incorporate or how we can do more things for our project.
Other questions from other people? Sorry, Khadija, you had a comment?
Yes, a couple of weeks ago, I was going for a walk through the park and I saw this. I read the sign. I have to say my impression was, this is like really wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. The whole medicine wheel, then I saw the Bangladeshi community acknowledgement, and I'm thinking, well, what is this? And I felt so welcome. It's just like an amazing experience. I thought, this is going to be a contemplative place to think about where my family came from, what my mother language was, and for some reason it felt extremely expansive, acknowledging, the indigenous people here, but also all of us who've come from all over the world. And I don't know if I've ever experienced a place that felt, and it's just a beautiful space. And you know that you're going to be able to go there, sit there, contemplate. And I don't know what the future is going to hold, but it is an absolutely brilliant concept. And I thank you. I was delighted to see this in my neighborhood. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions or comments?
Hi, Sandra.
Okay, Harjeet.
Yes, I'm sorry. I connected a little bit late. I missed a big part of that. Would you mind to tell me, not now, but in our coming meeting on the 8th, that what is this project about?
Okay, we actually are recording the session, Harjeet, so you'll be able to see it on Powell's YouTube channel.
Oh, I see. That's good. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Seems very interesting project.
So can you tell us what other communities you've talked to or made connections with? For us, that's really important, because that's the purpose of what we're trying to do in Powell as well, is make connections.
In fact, yeah, so far we have connected with Pakistani community, with the Sikh community, and Southeast Collegiate with its indigenous group, and still working on it. Main purpose is to, by next year's summer, if this project is completed, we are trying to have a kind of rally and cultural thing around that plaza. It's still in planning, and this COVID already kind of pushing it away. And that's in the making still. We don't know how to, but our goal is to connect each and every community that lives around here, or anyone from maybe far away. There's no problem. We are trying to as inclusive as possible, everyone. And it's basically for every nation, every people, every color, every creed, every religion. It's not belong to any culture or any country or anyone. If Abdullah wants to add something, I think I'll request him to add.
No, I think you're right. So I think you're right. So one of the things I actually wanted to say was the last 21st of February, like this year, last 21st of February, it looks like it's a year before already. Like it doesn't seem like it's this year, it's last year, right? So, but this year in 21st of February, we actually engaged with the province too. We actually engaged with the province of Cultural Heritage Ministry. And they actually also, there was a proclaim made in 2015, like regarding the acknowledge the importance of this International Mother Language Day. And this year again, they actually reproclaimed like that day, like the International Mother Language Day, as a provincially proclamation, like the proclaim day, like they recognize it. Yeah, this day as a 21st February as International Mother Language Day. So I think that's a huge, I would say, support or huge acknowledgement. But one of the things, obviously, as Khadija was mentioning, that we've been involving with engaging with different groups, we actually wanted to engage with different parties around the park. So let's say like the Fort Richmond neighborhoods, South Points or Bridgewaters and all those. But because of the COVID, something like a little bit pushed up, like off the road right now. But we are on the in the plan that we're it's kind of, I would say, it will not be a like the folklorama, but it will be a place where everyone can feel that it belongs to them. Everyone can feel like this is the place for them where they can think about, like as you mentioned, like I think you just perfectly mentioned it, that where we came from. So that's exactly it. And I think that's what we want to do, to be more welcoming and inclusive as much as possible.
Okay. Go ahead, Bill. Bill, you look like you're about to say something.
No, I'm actually very encouraged in the fact that there is this sensitivity to the fact that they are on First Nations territories and they're being respectful. That's something very long time coming for me. I haven't heard that for a long time. So I'm encouraged by that. And I'm now more encouraged to walk around the park more. Kirkbridge Park. I haven't done that for a couple of months because of a number of different reasons, but now I've got a chance to go do my urban walking over there.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I am encouraged and impressed with the presentation, with the fact that many cultures have been subjugated to the dominant society that took them over, and how hard that they have tried to prevent subcultures, for lack of a better word, to have their own identity, yet the identity maintained, just as you indicated with the Welsh, with the Gaelic, with the ones that speak Brogue, or you go to Spain with a number of different, like the Basques. There's so many subgroups that are trying to maintain their original identity that have been here for thousands of years. And I'm so encouraged the fact that we're now starting to recognize that and allow people to find who they truly are and where they truly came from. So thank you very much for trying to bring forward that fight.
You're welcome. It's so nice to hear from you. In fact, something I just tried to tell, even Bangladesh itself was not dominant in its language. It's a country came through language movement. But main tragedy is, there are still many small groups in Bangladesh with ethnic identities, with diversities. Their cultures is not so strongly preserved either. It's even we ourselves champion for, like, we have struggled for it, but we are not giving reference or trying enough for preserving smaller culture or smaller groups. There's the main thing is to this kind of thing. When we come together, we can feel like how many people are losing their cultures, their identities everywhere in the world, and that's a serious tragedy to the humanity.
Jerry, anything to add? Wendy? No? Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
It's very, very interesting that you have taken this on, and that it's really we're trying to do the same thing, but we don't have a structure. We're just trying to do it with meeting people and getting to know different parts of the community and that. And so we're doing basically the same thing, but just in a different way.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, so I just wanted to add to what Wendy was saying. The Making Connections project as part of PAL is really trying to make some connections with other groups. So whether they're cultural groups, or trying to be as inclusive as we can. So part of that is culture as well. And we now have, or we are about to have a new home where we feel that we can invite and collaborate with other people, with other communities, and really try to build that capacity within the organization to be representative of all, of anyone and everyone. So besides culture, it's identity, whatever it is. And so we want to build an organization and add to our organization to make it a welcoming place for everyone. So this, so your place is a tangible place. So part of it is physical. It's not just a symbolic thing. And so we're thinking that PAL could be the place where people come and gather regularly, but the mother language plaza would also be a place that they could go and feel like it belongs to them. So, sorry, I thought someone was going to say something. So I think what we're going to do is we're at 7:49. I don't see any more questions, but I thank you, and I hope that we can continue this dialogue between you and us, and we reach out to other communities within your community and any community you're connecting with as well. We've done a lot of work over the last year and a half to build connections with other communities and organizations, and we hope to continue this work. So this is kind of the start of what we hope will be a long relationship of working together and, as you said, promoting diversity, multiculturalism, identity, and all the things. So as someone who doesn't have a mother language because we were also colonized and we were not allowed to speak our mother language. I'm talking about my grandparents. My grandparents were forced to speak English. So, we have my grandchildren call me Nanny, which is, like you were saying, Abdullah, Nanny is grandmother, and Nanny Ma is what they call my mother. So the mother of my grandmother. So yeah, those are the connections to our language that we still have. Very little, but that's, Aja, Nanny, those words mean something, tie you to your family. And if that's all we have at this point, that is all we have. But I'm also excited to know that, when I was working at Red River College, I spent the last few years before my retirement really trying to build an Indigenous language, so the Ojibwe program and then the Cree program, so that it's kind of like a language revitalization. So I'm although I lost my mother language, my parents did, it's nice to see that we are honoring the lands and the people we live with by revitalizing their language. So thank you again for your presentation. Anyone else? Bernadette, any comments?
I'll just share also that I'm Irish, and so our language, we were forbidden to speak Irish, and English was forced on us a few generations back. But now it's the official bilingual country, so we got it back again. And so the young people are choosing for their whole education through university in our native language, which is, so it can happen. It can happen.
Wonderful. Okay, well, if no one else has any other comments, I will thank our two presenters. Thank you for your time and putting together the presentation and doing the trial run yesterday. And I think we have much work to do and many connections as we move forward. Thank you again, everyone, for attending. And
thank you.
I will wait.
So much.
Thank you all.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.